Hey, back again. This time we're gonna talk a bit about how to mix kick and bass. So I have a bass line that I wrote a few minutes ago, but I put it on the wrong sound just so that you can you can see what I'm doing with the bass. So here's it with the wrong sound, not a bass sound. Okay. So let's go to this sound, which is a stock sound in SH-101 VST. Okay, so that's meant to be a bass sound. And when I want to make this the sub oscillator on 101 can be a tad bit tricky because that's what the sub oscillator sounds like. And as you can see, I'm way down to 64, so it's quite low, so I must be playing a bit high on that note. I kind of like it just as a sine, just as a square wave. Square waves can give some really nice bass sound. And I'll take that pulse width out, so it sounds closer to like a dub reggae bass. And I have somebody over here that's acting crazy. Okay, so I have that. Now, I was fooling around with this. This is a trick. I can't remember who said they use this all the time. It's somebody that does a rap producer. It might be Boy Wonder. I'm not sure who it is. But the trick is supposed to be to mix the bass so that it's pretty much steadily at 3. You know, it's average at 3, minus 3 dB on an analog VU meter. So let's see if it works. So we're just gonna lower those notes there. We're gonna try to keep it around 3, right? So we're peaking at 0, but because the filter is moving around, of course it's gonna move around. Now I have a kick drum here. And with this 909, it has control for decay, right? So you can make it shorter or longer. You can put more attack on, like seriously attack in that sense. But I like the attack of what it sounds like with the tune. It's got level, but it also has this thing right back here, which is called gain. And you can go too crazy with this. So you can. Now, what I also like to do is I like to use this, which is like an oscilloscope, and I can see what the wave of that kick looks like. See? So when I push it up, you can see it's square wave, hard. When I bring it down, the natural sound or the sample sound of that 909 is actually a square, a clipped wave of a kick drum sound. That's what it looks like there. You see that little piece that was down there? That is the attack. So if I take it away, that attack goes away. If I put it up, you see that attack comes right back. When you tune, it changes the thuddiness, or it gives it a little bit more juice. So I don't usually like putting a whole boatload of attack, but in this situation, you can get the sound up. You go to the panel, hit the gain up, and then it'll take away that little bit of tail that it had, or right in the front, that little tooth that it had there. I don't like seeing that tooth when I look at the waves in the distance. It just doesn't look right. A kick drum to me is usually supposed to look like a triangle, like a sideways triangle, or like a play button, and then you can go from there. But this already has some processing in it. So we get the kick sound in the way we want it. And I'm not EQing anything, right? Also, if you have too much decay, but you're trying to put it together with bassline, they're just gonna get in the way. So it's better to find shorter times with the impact that you can have for a kick drum. Also, with this meter in particular, you can see that it's going in divisions. So this is actually an eighth note right there. So I can have the kick decay all the way to a quarter note. I can have it come down to an eighth note. I can have it come down to, division of what would be a 16th note. So it just depends on what you want to hear. Now, the trick is that where the bass is at -3, when you add the kick drum in, you're trying to stay as close to 0 as possible. And that's supposed to be the balance. Whether that's your balance is another story. My balance, the way that I balance the two, is to get a reference of what those sound like, but by the time I come to the end of the mix, I'm balancing them separately on how they feel with the rest of the music. So just like with songwriting, I don't try to start off with kick and drums. I try to start out with musical elements, and then from those musical elements I can add percussion, and I can, because a kick drum, a straight 4 kick drum, I mean, how hard is that to make? You can make it in anything you want. This one seemed logical to me because you're using the meter, and I really think that we should all use some sort of meters at some point. We can use our ears, but sometimes you have to use your eyes. Sometimes you have to have the meter in order to really have a reference. For a long time, I would just put the kick drum so loud, maybe too loud. And is your song about the kick drum, or is your song about the music, or is it about the song, or whatever it is? So a straight 4 with a kick drum all the way out takes up so much room and so much attention from the song. Maybe rap records, you could do that a lot better. You could do it with R&B records that don't have a straight 4 kick, where the kick drum moves around, drum and bass with trap music, different styles. But with techno and house music, you have to make room for everything else. So in my opinion, mix, bass, drums last.